All right, we have done several simple Scratch programs, and now it's time to make something a little more interactive. We're going to make our first game in Scratch. So, first thing, as always, we're going to give it a name. So, I'm going to come up here and we're going to call this one Shark Chomp. Once I've named it, I'm ready to go. And I'm going to begin by getting rid of my cat sprite and getting two new sprites. I'm going to come down here to my sprite menu, and I'm going to go to animals, and I want two sprites. I'm looking for the shark sprite, and I'm looking for the starfish sprite. So here's my shark, and there's shark 1 here. There's shark 2 here. I happen to like shark 2. This is the one I'm going to go with. So I'm going to click shark 2, go back to my sprite menu, go back to animals, go down again, and grab my starfish code. And what I'm going to do when I have both of these is put one in one corner, the other in the other corner. So they're on opposite sides of the stage. Now, right now, my starfish is pretty gigantic. And to make him smaller, I'm going to come here to my size. And let's try size 30. I think that's a more reasonable size for starfish. And my shark can be a little smaller too. So I'm going to click on my shark down here. And let's just make him size 80. A little bit smaller, but we still want him bigger than the starfish. Now, in order to make this code, we have a couple of things we need to do. Number one, really important when you're working with more than one sprite, is making sure that you are writing the code for the correct sprite. So I want to make sure, since we're starting with the shark, that I have the shark selected. I can also look up here on my canvas and see a little faded image of the shark to remind me this is who I'm writing the code for. Now, we're ready to get started. Just like my other programs, I'm going to go to Control or go to Events first and get my green flag, and that's going to tell it when to start the program. Now, before we start our code to have him move around, we want to set up a start position for this game. In this game, the shark is going to chase the starfish. You're going to control the starfish with your mouse pointer. And when the game is over, it finishes when the shark catches that starfish. If the game ends and he's touching the starfish, if we start it over again, he'll still be touching the starfish and the game will end right away before you even get to play. So we want to give both our shark and our starfish a starting spot when the game begins. If I look down here on my shark menu, I have two sets of coordinates. My X coordinate, which tells me where he is going across the stage horizontally, and my Y coordinate telling me where he is vertically, up and down on the stage. So these numbers are what I'm going to use to give him his starting position. I'm going to move him kind of all the way up here to the top. The numbers changed a little bit. And I'm going to go to the motion menu. On the motion menu, I want go to X coordinate, Y coordinate. And I'm going to drag that and put that right underneath my green flag. These numbers here should match the numbers here. If they don't, you can click and change them. Be extra careful about negative numbers. You want to make sure if there's a minus sign, you put that minus sign in there. Now, we don't want this to go inside a forever box or any other kind of loop because that'll just keep sending him back to his starting point and he'll never get to move anywhere. So my loop code is going to go underneath the go to. So I'm going to go to Control. In our other codes, we've been using the forever box. And that's great if we want it to go on forever without stopping. But because this is a game and has an ending point, we don't want it to go on forever. So we're going to use another kind of loop called a repeat loop. If I go down just a little bit, I'm going to see a code that says repeat until blank. I'm going to snap this in underneath. This tells it repeat whatever's inside this code box until whatever goes in here happens. And we need to tell it he's going to repeat until he's touching the starfish. Once he catches that starfish, then he can stop. So to let him know that he's caught the starfish, we need to go to the sensing menu, which is right under control. And my first one says touching mouse pointer. I'm going to grab that, and I want to put that right inside that funky shape right here. Now, we don't want him to go till he touches the mouse pointer, so we're going to pull this down, and we want him to go until he's touching the starfish. So now he'll repeat whatever's in here until he touches the starfish. Then that code will be over. So now I need him to chase the starfish. If I just put in move code, he's going to move around and he might accidentally touch the starfish, but that's not an exciting game. He has to actually chase after him. So on my motion menu, I want to go down and find point towards mouse pointer. And I'm going to snap this in here. Once I have this in here, I'm going to change mouse pointer to starfish. This tells him he's going to point towards that starfish. If I click my green flag now to start the program, not much happens. But if I move the starfish around, each time I let go of that starfish, he points directly towards it. So now I know that piece of code is working. Now, since I clicked on my starfish, I want to go back to my shark, so I'm back at the shark code. I'm going to move my little starfish back here to his starting point, be on my shark code, and be ready for the next step. So now he's going to point towards it. Now he can move. So we're going to add in a move 10 steps. And you'll see he went right towards the starfish because I never clicked the stop button. Because I don't want him to keep doing this, I'm going to click stop, move him back up here, and I'm going to change move to 20 steps. Give him a little bit faster. Now, I also want him to switch costume while he's doing this. So I'm going to click on looks, and I'm going to get switch costume to, and snap that in under here. I have Shark A, Shark B, and Shark C. So I'm going to click up here on costumes to see what those look like. Shark A is the one we're at right now. Shark B has the mouth open, and Shark C kind of has this sick-looking shark face. So I'm going to go back to Shark A here and go back to code. And since he's already in Shark A, I'm going to have him switch to Shark B. Then, just like we did with our dancing cat, I'm going to go to control. I'm going to get a weight code and put it in. And let's make this one about 0.2. We can adjust that later on if we need to, but that's a good starting point. I'm going to go back to motion. I'm going to get my move 10 steps, change that to 20. And then I'm going to go back to looks and get one more switch costume. So for my two switch costumes, I should have Shark B for one of them, Shark A for another. This means he's going to start in his starting position, and then until he actually catches that starfish, he's going to point towards the starfish while moving switching his costumes, and it should make him follow that starfish around until he catches it. So that's our first chunk of code. Now we're going to switch over to the starfish because the starfish needs his own code as well. I'm going to click on starfish and make sure he's in his starting position. Just like with the shark, we're going to go to events and get a green flag. And he also needs that start position code. On motion, I'm going to get go to X and Y and snap that in. And I'm going to check that my numbers match up with what's down here for his coordinates. Once they do, then I'm ready to move on. I'm going to go back to control. And again, for my loop, I don't want a forever. I want repeat until. Make sure it goes under the go to. We don't want that go to be inside. And then I'm going to go back to sensing, just like we did with the shark, until touching mouse pointer, snap that in, and change it to the shark. So now whatever's in here, he's going to repeat until he touches the shark or the shark touches him. Same difference. Now, the shark follows the starfish. We want the starfish to follow our mouse pointer. So I'm going to go back to motion, and I'm going to get point towards mouse pointer and snap that in. My starfish will now point towards my mouse pointer as I move it around. I don't need to click. I don't need to hold it down. I just need to move it, and he should follow it. But right now, he doesn't have any movement code. So we're going to get move 10 steps, snap that in, and let's go take a look at his costumes next. I'm going to go to costumes, and he's only got 2 costumes. That's fine. We're going to go back to code. We're going to go to looks, and I have 2 choices. I could put switch costume to Starfish A, add another move, put in the switch to Starfish B, but because he only has those 2 costumes and I don't have to worry about it, I'm just going to choose next costume and snap that in. So now he should point towards the mouse pointer, move 10 steps at a time, and switch costume. Now, the last thing I want to do for my starfish is have it play a sound after he gets caught by the shark. So I don't want to put it inside this loop code. I'm going to go to sound. I've got all these lovely sounds here, but I'm going to go to my sound menu. I'm going to click my choose a sound, and I'm going to go with voice for this one. And for voice, I'm going to go with scream 2 because he's not going to be very happy that that shark caught him. Once I have my sound, I'm going to go back to code, and I'm going to get my play sound collect until done. This needs to go under the chunk of code that repeats. I'm going to pull this down and say play scream 2. So now when the shark catches him, it should play that sound. So let's test what we have so far. When I start it, the shark should follow the starfish, and the starfish should move and follow my mouse. Remember that you don't need to click or hold your mouse down. Just move your mouse pointer around the screen. All right, and so they got caught. So I'm going to stop. Works great. If I feel like it's too easy, I can adjust the speed. Same thing if it's too hard, I can adjust the speed of the shark or the starfish. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some background music to this, and I'm also going to tell it when the game is finished. So I'm going to go back here to my shark. I could technically do this on either one, but I like having it on my shark code here. I'm going to go to events and get my green flag. And on my green flag, I'm going to get under control an if then else box. Now, this sounds complicated, but it's right here. It says if blank, then else. I'm going to snap that in under here. What this says is if something happens, then do whatever is in this box right here. Otherwise, or else, do whatever is here. So I want it to play background music, just some fun music in the background, but I want it to stop once the shark catches the starfish. So I'm going to come over to my sensing and get my touching code. If touching mouse pointer, we want to change that. So if he's touching the starfish, I'm going to go to my control menu here. And we want to go down a little bit and get stop all. So if he's touching the starfish, everything's going to stop. But until that happens, I'm going to put my music code in here. So I'm going to go up to sounds. I'm going to click on my choose sound button. And let's see what I've got. I'm going to go to loops because I want something that's going to keep going. I'm going to grab cave. And once I have my cave sound, I'm going to go back to code and go to my sound menu. Play sound until done. And I want it to play sound cave. So now let's test it out. Now this says play sound cave until done. So you'll notice that even though he caught it, the sound kept going till that loop was over. So I can adjust that if I want to. Instead of play sound until done, I can say start sound. And let's see what happens if we try this. Same problem. So getting that sound to stop right away, a little tricky. We can try one more thing. I'm going to get rid of stop all, and I'm going to get stop all sounds and put that in there. Let's see if this solves our problem. Nope, no luck, but that's okay. It will stop once he's touching and that sound finishes, and it won't keep going. I'm going to go ahead and move these extra pieces off, and I want to go ahead and just put my stop all back in. The reason I want stop all instead of the others is because stop all stops not just the sounds, but any other program that's running in the background. So that way, make sure everything stops, and we know that sound will finish up when it's all done. So, last thing we need to do is give this a background. I'm going to come down here to my backdrops, and I'm going to go to an underwater background, and I can choose one of these. I'm going to go with this one, and now my game has a lovely background. I'm going to save by clicking Save Now. I'm going to click Share. Make sure you click Share so I can see it. And then on the project page, click Copy Link. Go to Classroom, put it in Google Classroom, and don't forget to turn it in.